DRDO has successfully completed 1,000 plus seconds ground test of an active cooled scramjet combustion engine, which is a gigantic achievement. No other country has achieved this. What do you think about this? Pranay says DRDO has just successfully tested an active cooled scramjet engine for 1,003 seconds, if I remember correctly. A breakthrough being hailed as a major step towards operational hypersonic cruise missiles. How significant is this achievement for India's strategic deterrence and technological edge? What does this breakthrough mean for India's position in the global military technology race, especially considering claims that even the US and China have not achieved yet this level of sustained scramjet performance? Ashish says DRDO tested 1,000-second scramjet engine. Zircon of Russia has a 120-second scramjet phase. What are the implications? Okay, pretty interesting stuff happening in the world. In this time, we're talking about India. So, DRDO has something called the DRDL. It's a laboratory I think it's in Hyderabad. Okay, so this lab, they ran an actively cooled subscale combustor, a subscale engine for 1,003 seconds, and the airflow was Mach 5, Mach 6, which is 5 or 6 times the speed of sound. Okay, and I think this was tested in Hyderabad. So until now, the US, their longest publicly acknowledged hypersonic run was about 6 minutes. I think about 300 something seconds. Okay, DARPA, yeah, DARPA does this stuff, and China has claimed that it has done ground tests about 600 seconds or something, 400 to 600 seconds. But that's a claim that they've made. Nobody has verified that. Obviously, even the US claim is also a claim. Nobody has seen that, and so on. And it is estimated that the Zircon scramjet engine has it could go up to 300 seconds or 400 seconds, most likely. So what India has achieved by crossing the 1,000-second milestone is that, see, first of all, we are using something called regenerative cooling. So, this engine, the scramjet engine, it uses some kind of fuel. It's going to be a hydrocarbon-based fuel like petrol, kerosene, or some kind of exotic hydrocarbon compound or something. So, when you use regenerative cooling, it means that the fuel itself absorbs the heat before injection. So it is not just a fuel, it is also a coolant. Can you imagine that? It is not merely a fuel which will burn, it is also a coolant. I remember reading as a kid, the Americans have this aircraft called the SR-71 Blackbird. It's retired now, but it had an exotic fuel. The SR-71 Blackbird, it used a fuel that would burn only at incredibly high temperatures. You ignite a matchstick and you dump it in the fuel, it will not burn. But it will burn at extremely high temperatures. So I think India is using something like that. That sort of fuel for the regenerative cooling. It absorbs heat, it acts as a coolant, and it is also the fuel in the combustion chamber, right? And most likely India is using some kind of alloy or ceramic material inside the combustion engine, the liner, that can survive about, I don't know, 1800 or 2000 degrees Celsius temperatures, huge temperatures. And you will also need some kind of real-time combustion control algorithms to keep the flame anchored and pointing in the right direction despite pressure oscillations and whatnot at this incredibly high Mach number, 5 or 6. So it's an incredible achievement. 1,000 seconds plus means that now we have an engine that can be hypersonic for 1,500 kilometers. The Zircon is hypersonic in the end stage, the last 300 seconds or 120 seconds, whatever it is. We have an engine that, when taken to the larger scale, when made into a full-scale thing, it can propel a cruise missile completely hypersonically for 1,500 or so kilometers from launch to impact. It's consistently hypersonic. It's not supersonic and then in the last phase it is hypersonic. It's hypersonic throughout. That's incredible. Okay, so that's fantastic. Now we have to understand one thing. Important thing is that the Zircon flies. The Zircon missile flies. Okay, what we have is a subscale test in the ground test. Now we're gonna be testing this. We have a hypersonic demonstrator test that is scheduled for next year, 2026, in which we will most likely test this engine, this combustor, probably a full scale version. So right now we have a scaled down version of that. Let's say the combustor is supposed to be hypothetically, let's say 1 meter long. Maybe we have something that is about 30 centimeters or 40 centimeters long. So it's a small scale model of the thing. So we have solved the physics problem. Now we have to solve the engineering problem. Understand? So I think it's amazing. It's awesome. It means that India is developing technology that very few nations have, and probably a first in its class technology. I don't think it's possible the Americans may have secretly tested a 1,000 second engine or something, but well, nobody has publicly announced it. So I would say great job, DRDO. DRDO gets a lot of flack for a lot of things, but outstanding job. And let's test this on the demonstrator vehicle next year. And hopefully by the end of this decade, we can have actual hypersonic missiles that can fly 1,500 kilometers fully hypersonic based on this technology. So I think India is now, so India has transitioned, leapfrogged essentially overnight from a non-contender in the hypersonic race to a front runner in the hypersonic race. Overnight, we have gone from a non-contender to a front runner in the hypersonic race. Amazing achievement, and I would like to congratulate and thank the scientists and engineers for their work.